G'day and welcome to the Rugby League Pom-cast. It is myself, Johnny, and joining me in his office today is very professional outlook at Channel 9 in Brisbane. It is Mr. Sam Leckie. How are we going, Sam?
I'm good. This is proof that I do actually work. I don't just sit on the bed when I do these podcasts with you, Johnny. But yeah, good to be back. And there's a fair bit going on, isn't there?
There is absolutely a shed ton going on in the rugby league world, both over in the Northern Hemisphere and down in the Southern Hemisphere where we both are, which sounds weird with my accent, but here I am in Sydney, an absolute scorching day, 34 degrees today. I am absolutely sweating my what's off. But yeah, lots going on in the rugby league world, and we're going to start off with a little story that is a potential miss from the Northern Hemisphere and the RFL, and that is, of course, the biggest news of the last 6 weeks over in Australia coming out of England, apart from the Ashes, has been a team down in the capital, and that is London Broncos. They have been ranked 16th in the IMG ratings, below Salford, but rising from the lowly positions that they were a couple of years ago.
Mm.
Bradford have leapfrogged in Super League. I'll talk a little bit more on the Super League podcast with Andy about all the ratings, but Brisbane have had probably the most publicity they've had in Australia. Brisbane. London have had the
Well,
most, but and Brisbane as well. But London have had the most publicity over in the last 6 weeks, and they've probably had over the last 30 years or so. And it just feels like that momentum will go because it's looking like one of the three teams to miss out of Toulouse, York, and London. It's looking highly likely it's going to be London. I mean, this is one where you could have got the Aussie eyes really focused on the Super League.
yeah. So everything that we spoke about when it was first announced that Darren Lockyer had taken ownership in the London Broncos and was going to be a big part of running it, that they'd signed NRL players and an NRL coach. Forget that,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the RFL have decided that the London. You're going to need to explain to me how the IMG rankings work because I'm not 100% across it. But I mean, how they've decided that a team that's bringing at least two NRL players, Jason Demetriou, who's an international coach and rugby league NRL coach as well, and that has Darren Lockyer, arguably the greatest player of all time, on its board. How they've decided that that would be that Salford would be a better fit, or would ranks above
yeah.
them.
Well, it's the IMG ratings are based on basically four or five different categories, so that's on and off field. Um, but they don't really make sense because Bradford, for example, which I'll go into, have leapfrogged from
Castleford and
16th
Huddersfield.
from 16th to 10th. The stadium looks like Chernobyl, and they haven't improved on the field either. And yet Toulouse lost points, and the investments increased. The stadium is top of the range facility. It's the stadium that Toulouse FC and Toulouse Rugby play at. And more importantly, they won the championship grand final, which means they got more points for performance on field, but yet they've gone down overall in the point system. So it's a bit of a weird situation. And
Yeah,
it's not at the end of the day, it's not London out of the running because it is going to a panel to decide the next two teams that come up out of, like I said, them three teams are your main ones.
yeah.
So, and then you've got the likes of Oldham that have applied and others. But my gut feeling is they don't want to lose in. So I think they'll put London and York in. However, multiple reports are saying Toulouse will be in.
I was
So
going to
who
say,
knows what's
who's
going
on
to
the
go?
panel? Who's on the panel?
Well, it's majority of Bradford stakeholders, and
Yeah,
it doesn't matter because Bradford are in now automatically via this point system. But the thing is, the points haven't been like adjudicated by an independent body, as far as I believe. Like the clubs
yeah.
have just submitted the framework, what they've done, and it's been graded. Yeah, okay. No need to check this. All you have to do is Google Odsal Stadium to see
Yeah,
it.
I was just looking at it then. Like it's still like
90% of the
one of the
stadium,
grandstands is metal bars that you like lean on. Like, do they chain people
yeah,
to those? What?
90. Well, they may as well do. I mean,
Yeah,
and also the
to stop them
supporters
leaving.
have gone since they used to be like Bullmania and everything. So I don't get how that's gone on. But if London do miss out, they're really missing a trick because over in Australia, all eyes are on them. The Brisbane
Yeah,
connection, the players they signed, the coach they signed. But I believe there was clauses in the contracts if they didn't make Super League. Did they not?
it's in their contracts based on what division they play in. But
Jeez.
um, yeah, I'm sure there'll be some managers on the phone right now to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to Darren Lockyer and Grant Weshel saying, "Don't know if we
What's
want them to
going
be a
on?
part of this." Yeah,
Are they going to be? Imagine you're a part-time pro, right? You've just done a full week's work
yeah,
down
and
on
then
the
you got to go
trade
tackle
site. You
Regan Campbell
train,
Gillard.
you train 2 nights a week, and then you got to go tackle Regan Campbell Gillard, who's but still got so much mileage left to give in the
Yeah,
game of rugby league. It's just he was state of origin a couple of years ago. He was Australia squad in
yeah,
22.
yeah.
And suddenly
So
you're just
yeah,
like,
they probably went. They probably went and got on the piss and watched him at the World Cup,
yeah,
and now they're going to have to play against him. But yeah, I
literally, man.
don't. To me, it seems, and you have been so strong on this for a long time. It just seems to me that this is representative of everything wrong with the RFL at the moment.
And also, if if London do miss out, I do think it's because of that Australian connection. Because I really don't think Nigel would want any sort of Australian influence. And if, like, as much as the York owner is an Aussie, he he isn't someone who's like Clint isn't someone who's like, Darren Lockyer, who's known all throughout the world, who's got influence in the rugby league media, in the NRL circles. Like, he's not someone that could influence that way, whereas Darren Lockyer and Wessel, they would 100% be.
How out of touch can one be? That's my question. Like,
Exactly. And
but
that's just the way it is, though. They would rather see rugby. There's a lot of people at the top of rugby league in England that would rather see rugby league die in England than have Australians run the sport. And I
yep,
truly believe that.
that it's crazy to me because I look at, and I know I'm about to, in the next thing that we talk about, criticize the NRL heavily, but I get to watch the way the NRL runs every single day out here in Australia, and
Hmm.
it is it, there's no downside to the RFL turning to the NRL and just
No,
asking for a helping hand. There's no downside to it, but they just seem to be so like ideologically against it, and the game's going to suffer because of it. I don't. I can't explain it. Like I cannot.
neither can I. Neither can you. The only people that will are the people at the top. And they have stakes in clubs and they don't want to see them clubs in the championship, but they'll happily see a good money backed club suffer in the biggest growth area that you could potentially have in London. But hey ho, we'll go into that a little bit more on another day. But there's been a huge backlash of the NRL's organisation this week, hasn't there,
Hmm.
Sam? I know you had a good rant on your show this week on Rugby 360 and the
I did.
stance the NRL have taken. So effectively, what the NRL said last week was it was out of a cornflake box. It was no threat to rugby league whatsoever. Last Wednesday, wasn't it, or last Tuesday?
It was when the Kangaroo squad was announced. So
Yes,
Monday,
it's
last
Monday,
Monday.
Monday, Monday.
Yeah.
So it was basically nothing, no threat to us. Peter Volandis came out and said, and then suddenly on Tuesday,
Mm.
he announces that there's going to be a 10-year ban for any player who joins R360. Any player or agent who thinks about joining R360. Any player that even asks for negotiations or negotiates a contract in order to get a potential better deal in rugby league. Nope, you'll get a 10-year ban. This is, I know you've been very vocal on the legalities of it. If you take the legal side out of it, this is
Just on
just,
principle.
on principle, this goes away from the fundamentals of what our sport was built on in 1895. We were the Rebel League in 1895.
Yeah. Just on principle though. Like when you say that something is unthreatening and it comes out of a cornflake box, and then a week later you're imposing 10-year bans on anyone who even entertains it. And PBL's comments the other day were basically saying, don't risk your financial future by going and signing on with these leagues. If it's so badly run, why are you threatened by? Why would you rub good players out of rugby league for 10 years, for a decade, because if they want to entertain or explore that option? There's big money being offered in R360, and we spoke about it when R360 was first floated. There's big money, and it's going to impact the player market one way or another. Going to give the players a lot more power over their clubs to say, this is what I'm getting offered from overseas. I want to stay, but you're going to have to try and meet somewhere in the middle with that. But to ban players for 10 years for even entertaining a rebel league, there's never been anything of the sort when it comes to rugby union and players going to rugby union, which, as you said, rugby league started from as a rebel league back in the 19th century. Players going to NFL, Jared Hayne, Valentine Holmes, nowhere, no time in history other than the Super League War, which again was challenged, and we got to where we are now, have players been restricted from exploring a certain option. And I don't, the legality of it, and I spoke to the RLPA about this, and they were 100% on my side, saying that this is it's destined to be decided in a courtroom.
Yeah.
If players are to be rubbed out of this, and it really seems to me like the NRL have blinked. Like, they've got a broadcast deal coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and if there's the threat of players leaving for big money, that's going to hurt their negotiate. That's going to take a chip out of their hand in negotiations for the broadcast deal. And the other thing is there's two new clubs coming in, and if there are players that are potentially looking at leaving, then it's going to again impact the player depth that we've got in the game. But
Yeah.
for them to ban players for 10 years for even negotiating and entertaining the option of going to R360, I don't think it's going to stop any of them, because
No.
if you want to rub players out of the game for having a conversation with a rival league, why would they want to come back anyway? Like,
Yeah.
what
Why
sort
would
of
they want to
incentive are you
stay?
getting? Yeah, and just do what the RLPA have been saying for years, and
Give them more money.
you're talking about it being $1 billion industry. Give the players a bigger slice of the pie.
Yeah. Well, if it's like you said, if it's $1 billion industry per year, right? But yet the salary cap is only what is it? Just over 12 million now, going up to 16 million in a couple of years per club. It's what 16 times 16. It's not even half a mil
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you're
exactly,
spending. Half a
exactly.
billion, sorry. So like you've still got room to do that. Put it into your grassroots to do everything involved. If you put two-thirds of it to the salaries of the players, all that happens is you just get more superstars staying, more superstars being developed because more people want to play that sport. And the more money you get, the better it is. So it's
They
like,
want which I don't
they,
understand.
yeah, they just want complete power and complete control.
Yes,
That's what the NRL want.
it reeks of a power grab from the NRL. And now you've got Billy Slater coming out saying it's excessive. You've got Phil Gould saying that this is massively
Yeah,
over exaggerated, and no player manager have gone to the Bulldogs and said that they have or have used R360 as a bargaining tool for trying to get their players paid more money. So it's not a threat to the game. So why alienate players that would consider it? It's I don't think R360 is going to work, but it's beside the point. They've gone way beyond their remit here, the NRL, and as just like what I said before, the Players Association are fairly confident that at some point down the line it's going to be decided in a courtroom whether or not what they've done is legal or not. But just from a principle perspective, he's lost a bit of respect from a lot of people, I think.
yeah, absolutely. And he's always led the sport with an iron fist, and rugby league's a sport that has to be because at the end of the day, like, sport in England sums it up. You can't be a democracy in sport. You've got to be a dictatorship. And he knows where he's grown the sport exponentially from where when he took over. I know he's doing two roles with the horse racing and all that sort of stuff. This move just seems like seems more like an ego thing
Yeah.
rather than an actual. He feels threatened by another sport, and it's basically bucking heads effectively with someone that doesn't really know what they're booking for in R360, because there's reports that they don't really know who these players are, and they just are kind of throwing money at people who they've been told about. They haven't done extensive research, like some Jai Gray, for example, spoken about obviously Pappenhausen and the star he is. To take that negotiating power away from the agents, or to attempt to,
Mm.
it just stinks, because
Yeah.
for me, rugby league's a socialist sport, and it always will be, in principle. And if you take away that bargaining tool of going, oh, well, I've been offered this, what are you going to give me? Get close to that, and we'll go from
Yeah.
there.
And
It just takes all that away.
the other thing to me is it's not even just the superstars. Like, I think I'm getting the feeling that there's a lot of people that are players in the
The fringe
game.
players,
Yeah,
if
there's a
you
lot.
think
So
of those that are
yeah,
on like minimum wage.
yeah. So there's a lot of players in the game that aren't going to look at R360 because it's big money, but it's going to be played in empty stadiums with
Hmm.
clubs that have got no identity and no soul. All it
Hmm.
is basically a party to tour the world and play one game and play 12 games a year and get paid massive money for it. So there's a lot of players, and rugby league players are very proud. There's a lot of players that don't want to give up the opportunity to play for their country, for their state, and win premierships in the NRL where there is history and there is
Hmm.
soul. None of that's going to exist in R360. So there's a lot of players, and I mean, Payne Haas has already sort of alluded to that it's something. It, it's his managers that's looking at it, but he's not going to. He wants to win premierships, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a lot of players aren't going to entertain it for that reason, but there would be players that are on the fringe that get 130K a year, which is the minimum wage, and they work and they're trying to crack footy at the same time. But if they get approached and get offered $1 million, they could go over there and play for 2 years potentially and make some good money. But then they're banned from coming back and trying to crack it in the NRL
For
again.
another 10.
Young kids like it's excessive. Sure, I don't know what the solution is
Because
because
you can't have,
clearly
you gotta have an outright ban if you're going to.
because
You can't have one
yeah,
rule for
because
one.
clearly they're trying to retain their players, the NRL, and I understand that. But a 10-year ban is not the way to go forward. I mean, and at the end of the day, it's a restraint of trade because you can't take away an option for players because they want to stay to explore just so that they stay and basically get held hostage by the NRL.
Yeah. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place in that sort of term, 'cause they don't want to lose the grassroots players. They don't want to lose that to another sport. But like everyone's been saying, how long does this sport have? Because it must have an expiry date. Because
Yeah,
but these are
it's not
these
long term. It's not going to make
but
money.
but like I think of the initial podcast when it got announced by what's his name, who's um married to the princess. What's his name? Mike Trindle.
Yeah, yep.
And they announced it, and they were going to partner up and help with this, and they've got private equity firms and all this, that, and the other pumping money into this new, effectively what I believe he like labeled it kind of like a hybrid
Mm,
sport when it
mm,
first got announced, and the rules aren't even in place yet. No one knows what this sport's going to look like, right? But the NRL have got what they want. They want fast athletes. They want speed. Blah 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 blah. They want big, huge people, the likes of your big Nelsons and all that, and all them sort of players, your Reese Walshes. They want that sort of player. Well, why aren't the NRL going, well, to them investors? Look, this sport that you're investing in doesn't have a huge lifespan, in our opinion.
mm-hmm.
Why don't you cut? You're coming for our players. Why don't you then invest in us? And we'll take a few more games to America, and we'll take a few more games to Asia,
Yeah.
to Europe. We
So,
already
but
got
they've
one round. That Vegas round, you could have two games in Vegas. All that whole round one could be two games in Vegas, two games in Miami, two games in San Fran, whatever, or similar time zones. You know what I mean? And then you can go right. we're doing it and we're having NRL on the road and we're having a
Yeah.
full one round in different locations and you can go to them, or the first 5 rounds are in different locations or whatever else, and you have two teams in each one and you can go to these private investors and you can go, right, show us your money, we've got what you want,
The other
invest
thing
in
is,
us.
if R360, well, when R360 does inevitably fall over, there will be a lot of talent, I feel, unearthed in that couple of years that it's running.
Hmm.
Has the NRL completely burnt the bridge of trying to recruit more players through R360 when it falls over, give them the opportunity to come to Australia?
And there'll be a lot of young English
A lot of
rugby
like
union
young uni
players, a lot of
players,
young Australian rugby union players that would make the jump to R360 that aren't getting a crack in whatever division, and then suddenly you've
a
got
lot of
this
young,
talent that's available.
a lot of South African players have been spoken to as well. I know that
South African as well.
have been spoken to by R360. And when it inevitably falls over, there's going to be a lot of players without homes because there's going to be a lot of clubs that have already filled the holes. So they're going to be looking somewhere. Why not give NRL? Why not give them the NRL as an opportunity to come out and play? But instead, you've
Yeah,
whacked 10-year bans on anyone that plays in non-sanctioned competitions. So, and the other thing is, the NRL trying to play God here because in that statement it said that any player that plays in a non-recognised league.
yeah,
What gives the NRL the right to recognize to say what is and isn't a recognised league? You know what I mean?
yeah. Mm. Yeah, I suppose. And then what happens if it does get sanctioned by the International Rugby Board or
Yeah,
whatever? And
yeah,
then suddenly
exactly.
they are sanctioned, then you're like,
And then
oh,
and then all of a
well,
sudden, Peter V'landys's worst fear comes true when he starts losing players to rugby union because they
yeah,
can't come back
exactly.
to rugby league.
Exactly. And I am the biggest rugby union hater.
Hater.
I happily admit that. I know that. I know you don't mind the sport and you like watching it, and there are lots of fans around the world, but me as a active hater in the sport, I'm proud to be. Um, even I was texting you going, this is so wrong. Like there's nothing I would love to see than rugby union lose out and rugby league get better, but this just seems the wrong way to go about it. It's going from the fundamentals of our sport, the principles on what we were built on. And when you start going away from your principles and what your business was set up for, what your political party was set up for, what anything was, the moment you start going away from the key formation principles is the moment alarm bells should be ringing to everyone in all walks of life. Because if you give up on them principles, you've given up on your business, on your sport.
Yeah, and you want to see your favourite sport, and if you've got kids coming up that are playing the sport and aspiring to be there, you want to see it as a sport that gives you opportunities. And what they've slammed the iron curtain down on what could be a good opportunity for a lot of young people. If R360 does work out hypothetically, it's a massive opportunity for people like someone like Payne Haas, whose mum is in court at the moment and facing a hefty jail sentence. Dad's already in jail and he's looking after a young family.
Hmm.
A couple of years down the track, I mean, what? Why should he be stopped from going and negotiating and making big money overseas to
Hmm.
provide for his family, set his family and his finances up for life?
Or or like you say, negotiate, get a money figure, and then go back to a club and go, look, get close to this figure, or get
Yeah,
near this with
clubs.
third party deals, with this, that, and the other. How much actual outer salary cap
And the thing is,
are players on?
managers and clubs do this all the time,
Yeah.
leaking stuff. Like I saw it with Luke Metcalf during the week. There's reports around that Luke Metcalf is going to explore his options. All that is a ploy from his manager to be able to come back to the Warriors and say, "This is what Newcastle are offering. This is which Newcastle will be offering R360 money. Let's be honest, but this is what Newcastle are offering.
St. George.
This is what the Dragons are offering. Can you try and give us a little bit more of a figure for Luke?" And then he's going to end up re-signing. Why isn't there a ban on managers doing that? Why can't a negotiation just be club to club, club to manager or player? It's those principles, as you said, those principles that have always been around in the game they've slammed the door on it because there's a certain competition that the NRL is clearly threatened by. If they weren't threatened by it, there'd be no 10-year bans.
And you see it in all sports now, especially football, right? And you see it in all walks. The new Saudi league that got set up, and
Hmm.
they're poaching players, and players are going for big
None of them are
money.
banned. None of them are banned from playing for England.
No, because they know for a fact that they'll,
Yeah,
jump back one day
live
and they'll
live
play
golf ended up live golf ended up
live golf.
sorting out a way for the live golf players to be able to play at the majors.
Exactly.
The
Like there's
IPL in cricket,
negotiations and
the IPL in cricket, no one gets blacklisted from playing for their country if they do give up on some international sport for to play franchise cricket, because a lot of like international cricket associations can't match what these players are being offered by franchise cricket, and so
the
they're allowed to
IPL.
go. And so they're allowed to go and play in the IPL or the South African T20 League or the one that's happening in Dubai and make
Or
money
the
there,
100,
and
the new
miss,
one.
oh, yuck, and miss some international cricket, but they don't get blacklisted from playing for their country.
Yeah.
It's because it's a restraint of trade. If you do so, you've got absolutely no right to stop a player earning money.
No, exactly. Yeah. I don't know, it just stinks. It stinks from the NRL, and I just hope that they can not.
But
I
common
don't know,
sense can
just
prevail.
just yeah, common sense can prevail. And you know what? If it is out of a cornflake box, you've got nothing to worry about anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
why have you got this rule in
Well, to
place?
be fair, cornflakes got a pretty decent net worth.
Yeah,
Kellogg's
true.
make
Oh,
cornflakes, don't
Kellogg's
they?
are huge, man.
Kellogg's share price.
You
Let me
know,
have a quick look.
fun fact, cornflakes was initially invented to stop men from masturbating. So it was that was
That I
its
didn't
original
expect to hear today.
intention.
In the last five
Exactly.
minutes,
We are educational.
in the last 5 minutes, the Kellogg's share price has gone up 11 cents. So someone is listening to us.
There you go. There you go, man.
There you
Peter
go. I didn't know that.
Volandi's absolutely raking it in for Kellogg's. So
$3.2 billion a year Kellogg's make,
3.2
all
billion. Wow.
all to stop people from masturbating.
Exactly. Well, that was its initial purpose, set up by devout Christians in America. And I mean,
Sorry,
to be fair,
Can you explain to me how they thought?
I don't know. I don't know that. I just know that was the initial intention. They thought it would, like, I don't know, be that bland that you don't want that you don't want to have a tug after it. I don't know. I don't know the thought process of the
Okay, yeah.
cornflakes and
John
masturbation.
Harvey Kellogg did believe that a healthy diet of bland foods would curb
There you
sexual
go.
desire, and invented an
Hey,
early version of the cereal for this purpose. Kellogg's original granola was a healthy treat made from oatmeal and cornmeal. Yuck. For patients at his sanitarium, who he believed was suffering from ailments related to masturbation.
there you go. See, I'm full of
You know what?
knowledge,
You know
guys.
what I learnt the other day.
Bland food
You know what I
stops you.
learnt the other day. One of the biggest sports in the world, NASCAR. There's another example. NASCAR. The supercars drivers in Australia,
Yeah,
F1 drivers, are allowed to go and drive NASCAR in the off season and don't get banned. I mean, anyway.
yeah,
But NASCAR started during the Prohibition period in the early 1900s, like just after the
yes,
First World War, when you had the bootleggers who were making
yeah,
faster and faster cars to escape the
yeah, yeah,
police,
yeah,
who were basically still on horses. And then
yeah,
when Prohibition ended, the bootleggers didn't have a purpose, so they just kept racing each other in the cars,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
all of a sudden you get
That's
NASCAR.
why it's huge in the southern states.
Yeah, and that's why people drink so much at NASCAR.
That makes sense. I mean, yeah, drink so much for an American is like a light lunch for Brits and Aussies, though.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There you go. We're an educational podcast as well.
I'm gonna talk masturbation on tonight's show.
It's just either in. Sam, when you get called into the office, Sam, let's review that episode.
How'd that feel?
How did, yeah, yeah, yeah. Did you think you did well for reviewing it? Would you change any topics?
Yeah, probably wouldn't have
No,
spoken as
nailed
much.
it.
Probably wouldn't have spoken as much Premier League, but
Oh, anyway. Speaking of absolutely wank stuff, let's go on to the England team selection in this coming Ashes series.
uh,
There you go. Great link there.
that is
See,
fantastic.
I am made for radio. I've got a face for radio anyway. But we go with
Me too.
Sean Wayne's Ashes squad to combat the Australian team throughout the three tests. I mean, I suppose we do have the luxury of calling up people
Yeah,
as well if injuries do persist, and we can always, we've got a pool of players there we could do
like I don't know.
if
I
we
don't
got like
maybe
10 injuries.
maybe the most consistent player in the Super League, Jake Connor, probably
Jake
deserves a
Connor,
spot in the
yeah.
squad.
Yeah, possibly
Who would know?
one to the ones that have missed out. But the team is as follows. He's adding a bit of pizzazz to the team. It is John Bateman, still in the England squad, despite the fact that he's been way out of form for the Cowboys this year and the West Tigers last year and Wigan
Mm,
the 2 years before. He's still clinging on to his squad. He's got plenty of credit in the bank, Sean Wayne said. So there you go. Also, let's just reiterate that Sean Wayne says he doesn't take form he does pick it on form when he announced this squad, and then a week before said form doesn't matter in international squads. So he's another Peter Volandis in that term. We've got AJ Brimson representing his motherland of England from the Gold Coast Titans. Then we've got Joe Burgess, winger for Hull KR, Darryl Clark, hooker St Helens, Herbie Farnworth, Dolphins centre, Havard, prop forward Wigan, Knowles and Lees from St Helens, Mickey Lewis, Hull KR, who is going to wind them Aussies up somewhat rotten if he does
that'll be
play.
fun. That'll be a lot of fun.
Jez Litton, Hull KR, a little whippersnapper hooker. Mike McMeekin, Wakefield, Southerner, London born and bred. Harry Newman and Mikolaj Leckie for Leeds. Leckie was out of form past couple of years, but this year has really ramped up
Mm,
his season. Polish born, Mikolaj Leckie.
I love the name.
Uh, yeah. Or is he? Yes, he's Polish born, or is he? I can't remember. I think he was born in Gdansk, which is on the border between Ukraine, and I think one of his
Born in
parents is
Gdansk, yes.
Ukrainian. Um, Tom Johnson, winger for Wakefield. Kai Pearce-Paul, second row Newcastle Knights. Obviously now West Tigers bound because Newcastle didn't wish him good luck. I noticed they only wished Dom Young good luck. Harry Smith, Wigan Warriors. Morgan Smithies, Canberra Raiders. Owen Trout, Lee Leopards debuting in the squad. Walmsley, St Helens. Jake Wardle, Wigan. Callum Watkins somehow still in the squad after the heartbreak of the two World Cups ago, is still in the squad. He didn't make the last World Cup squad, but he did this one. Jack Wellesby, St Helens, George Williams captaining the Warrington Wolves. I think he is their only pick in this squad. Yes, he is. And Dom Young bringing up the rear for the Newcastle Knights, and of course Sydney Roosters this year. Um,
Mm.
Interesting. A lot of players missed out. The likes of Matty Nicholson missed
Yeah,
out.
so Kai Pierce Paul gets picked, but Matty Nicholson doesn't.
Mate, I don't know how Matty Nicholson didn't. He says it's picked on form, so that's why, because he hasn't said, and fitness wise. Um, he played the last four games for
Yeah.
Canberra. He, um, I mean, he's ripped it up this year when he was fit and did play. And he
Mm.
says that he spoke to our former England doctor, and he was saying how brutal these tests are, how you're going to need a lot of versatility. So that's what happened with this squad, which is why he's not picked James Batchelor, Matty Nicholson, etc. And he has picked the likes of Watkins, Bateman.
You've just got to pick your 17 best players, though, don't you? I mean,
Yeah, but we haven't.
that's
One
what
of
I'm
them's still in
saying.
Canberra.
That's what I'm saying. You've got to. I mean, you've picked six NRL players and have left out arguably the best English NRL player last year, like outside of Herbie Farnworth. Nicholson was playing, and I know he had a big long-term injury, but when Nicholson was playing, he was braining it.
Yeah.
So
I'm
yeah, I don't.
absolutely livid with this squad. I cannot. I cannot put it to terms because it's the contradiction of what he says
Yeah.
consistently. And it's like, well, if it's based on form, why is John Bateman in? Oh, he's got a lot of credit in the bank.
Mm,
I'm not messing,
that's
man.
not, no.
Nicholson's better than Bateman. Junior and Sember, although he was out of form this year, he real picked up towards the end of the year. He's got a bigger body that you need versus them. Yes, he's raw talent. He's only 21. But man, he'd do a better job than John Bateman for us.
Mm.
Callum Watkins, I don't know why he's in the squad other than the fact of his experience. But if he's coming out right and he starts with Bateman and Watkins, for example, you may as well just give the Australians a 3-0 victory there and then.
Yeah, you think Watkins will start in the back row?
I don't think he will. I think he shouldn't. I think it'll be Bateman and it'll be
Piers Paul.
Piers Paul. Piers Paul may be coming off the bench for impact, and he may go Bateman and maybe have Smithies at second row or have
Mm.
Knowles at second row and Smithies 13. But I think Smithies will be on the bench. I just think second row will light so much because Australian second row, you've got Crichton and Young are going to be the starters.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
going to absolutely demolish him.
And Jacob Preston.
And Preston, it's like you may well even have Preston and having Young got coming off the bench for a bit of impact.
Or I'd probably actually have Kalamatangi coming off the bench
Oh, you've got
to
Clark
play.
Pongi as well. Hey, we're going to get absolutely destroyed on them
Mm,
edges.
sorry, you are. I mean, Kalamatangi could probably come on in the middle because Crichton and I'd probably go Crichton and Preston actually because
With
Preston is
Young off the bench.
naturally plays on the right, and then you could have Kalamatangi and Young off the bench because Kalamatangi plays in the middle. Or you didn't even have to carry Kalamatangi, but if they wanted to play Young, then I mean, so many options for Australia. Whereas England, they've given
But
themselves,
we
they've
literally,
given,
we literally did our build up when we were talking last week about the Ashes squad,
mm,
and I was literally saying how good our second row is going to be with the likes of Kai Pearce-Paul, Nicholson, and Sember, and I was like ecstatic
you know what
about
this,
it.
you know what this squad
And
is to
now I'm
me.
like, what the fuck have they done?
You know what this squad is to me. It's when you build a FIFA squad that's 78 rated but has 100 chemistry because you've just bought a whole heap of
Mm,
players that cover multiple positions.
mm.
And so it's a team that no one's playing out of position because everybody plays multiple
Player position.
positions, can play a position, but you haven't picked the best players in those positions.
Yeah,
That's what it's
that's
like to me.
exactly what it's like. That is exactly what it's like. And I just it scares me the fact that I'm going to see John Bateman starting for England in 2025. It baffles me that I'm seeing Callum Watkins in the squad in 2025.
Mm,
But I've seen a lot of people slag off um, Alex Walmsley's selection because of his age. He was the top meter maker in Super League. He makes a few errors with the ball in hand, but the meters he makes, and he plays good minutes for his age at prop. He plays like 40 plus minutes at least, usually sit towards the end of 60 minutes for Saints. And like that was unjust, but the likes of Bateman and Watkins, it's baffling to me the fact that they've made the squad.
what about excluding, I mentioned it before, excluding the Man of Steel winner?
To be honest, it's one of them. I think the three halves we've got, 'cause he's going to be an halfback. The only one he'd replace would be you'd have Jake Connor instead of Brimson because Brimson plays 1-3-4-6. Jake Connor plays 1-3-4-6.
Yeah, 7.
Well, 7, yeah, but like that would be the only swap I'd do. But I think Jake Connor he's a divisive person in the past, and
Mm,
I think that's potentially I know a fair few pro players that don't get on with him. So maybe that's taken into consideration. I believe the fact that Billy Smith hasn't been picked is an absolute
well, there's
travesty.
another one. Yeah.
Mate, he's one of the best centres at what he does. He just goes so underrated over here because he he just does everything right. And for me,
Yeah.
being um ahead of either Burgess on the wing or even ahead of Wardle, as good as Wardle's been, but I've just got a sneaking suspicion that Sam Burgess is going to have something to do with this England camp, and that's the reason why Billy Smith isn't in the squad. That's my honest feeling.
Wow. What sort of role could he play
Whether it's
as an
like a
assistant coach?
frigging assistant or whether it's like, geeing up the players, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've just got a feeling that that's why Billy Smith won't be picked because he's one of the best centers in the NRL
When he's on the field, yes. He
when
has
he's
had
yeah when
issues.
he's
He
not
has had
injured.
issues with his fitness in the past, but yeah, it's a
Max King obviously wanted to play for England and got told no because he sang the
because he
national
wouldn't
anthem.
sing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We laughed at that last week. It
Yeah,
just
feels weak.
this squad doesn't really scare me as an
Yeah,
Australian supporter.
yeah, and
There's
you know
no,
what?
it doesn't outside of probably Wellesby, George Williams, I guess. Like he has played a grand final, and
He was
Farnworth.
shite though. He was shite this year for the
It's
Warrington Wolves.
like it seems like I thought when we were previewing it last week, the forward packs were always sort of going to cancel each other out.
I think
But
we dominate our
I feel like
forwards.
the exclusions that we've spoken about already, that Australia now, the area of the game where England could have brought it to Australia and matched it with Australia, they've weakened it.
Yeah,
And when you look at the outside backs, I mean, I'll be honest, AJ Brimson for a while hasn't been the player that he was. Herbie
he'll
Farnworth
be the 18th man, AJ Brimson.
Herbie
I don't
Farnworth
see
is
him being
coming
in there.
off. Herbie Farnworth's coming off no football. Dom Young needs a very specific set of circumstances to have an impact on the game, and that's the ball falling into his lap with no one in front of him 100 meters out. Like, and then it feels like the guys like Morgan Smithies and Morgan Knowles just aren't going to have a lot of support.
Mm. And that's it. Your outside backs, the outside backs will do a lot of the work. So Jake Wardle's all right carrying the ball out. Dom Young's a good ball carrier when he's got the ball
Holding, yeah,
given to him.
yeah,
Um,
and as
and
long as you
like,
don't hit the ball when you tackle him,
yeah. But Joe
all
Burgess is
respect
a
to
good one
Dom
out of the
Young.
carry. But yeah, he's got a lot of errors in him that both wingers do in
Yeah,
Joe Burgess and him, which is
don't
why I
worry,
think they'll put Tom Johnson in
Don't worry,
potentially to
I was
start
a
him.
Roosters fan the whole time that Dom Young was at the Roosters. I know how many errors he's got in him. Don't worry about that.
So that worries me. The half situation, if he goes
Lewis and
Lewis and
Wellesby,
Williams
or
in the halves,
Wellesby will play fullback, won't he?
Wellesby will be fullback. If he goes, that's why I think Brimson will be, you know, an 18th man if injuries happen or
Could you
whatever.
see him playing 14 potentially? Because Clark will be the starting hooker,
But
you'd think.
what I, so I've got two theories. He'll either go Smith and Williams with Lewis on the bench, and have Lewis popping in at hooker and spelling Clark,
Mm.
or he'll have Lewis Williams um, with um,
Brimson on the bench.
Jez Litton on the
Or
bench.
Des, yeah.
Because I think Brimson has got to have an injury to play. I think
Would you not like having somebody on the bench to cover your outside backs? Is the only question. Because we've
if they're
seen it.
making that many mistakes.
Yeah, well, that, but also injury in a test match
Yeah,
against Australia, which has got strike power
but
everywhere.
I think you've got to go big on your bench versus
Yeah.
Australia. I think you've got to have a big pack.
See, the only
And
concern for me would be like, yes, you've got to be big and match the packs. See, this is the problem with England is it just and not picking the players that we've mentioned means that there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of depth there. And I'm just thinking
yeah,
that if one of those centers goes down and you need to shift Kai Pearce-Paul out to play in the centers, perhaps, or whatever it might be, and he's
probably if
marking,
Watkins is playing, it'll be Watkins.
or
If
even Callum Watkins, and he's marking Walsh, Staggs or Shibasaki, Munster or Cleary, or Moses.
Yeah.
It seems like a recipe for disaster.
I
I'll be
mean, the whole
honest.
squad does, mate. Why do you
Yeah,
think I'm so pissed off? It
yeah.
just feels like he's just gone into a bag
Just
and gone,
yeah.
right, these
He'll
players
do.
can
He'll
play
do.
loads of positions. Let's see what we get here.
I'm
Oh,
waiting for the
Callum
news story.
Watkins,
I'm waiting
boom.
for the news story of Ethan Strange being kidnapped in the middle of the night and then taken into England camp while he's over there.
I mean, I know we've got the luxury of, right, we've had 6 injuries in game one. Let's
Yeah,
pull in players from outside. Australia don't have that luxury. So if you get a lot of injuries, for example, you've either got to have someone paying the bill to get a last minute flight
mm,
over, or you use a Super League based Australian like your Curtis Sirenans or your
yeah.
um, etc. So,
I will say you've
like,
got one thing going. The Poms have got one thing going for them is there's a few very attractive men in this squad.
yeah,
Herbie Farnworth, Owen
yeah,
Trout,
yeah.
Morgan
Owen Trout's a
Smithies,
prop as well, by the way.
Morgan Smithies.
It's not often you have an attractive prop, is it?
No, no, it's not. I'm trying to
He
think
is,
in
to be
the
fair, he is a
NRL.
young prop though, so his face
Yeah,
isn't mashed up as much. Yeah,
I'm trying to think in the NRL about props. I mean, Tino,
Mark Nichols.
Mark Nichols is up there. Mark Nichols is unquestionably. Um, I mean, middle forwards you've got like Cameron Murray and Paddy Carrigan and those sort of guys as
Yeah,
well, I
yeah.
guess. Um, but yeah, I think that's kind of all that you've
There
got
you
going
go.
for you at the moment.
Yeah, especially there. But at least, like, like I could see him maybe having Smithies on the bench, Knowles going into second row, and having Smithies at
Mm,
13.
yeah,
Um,
I think the first test is going to be close. I really do. Like Australia acclimatizing and dealing with the jet lag, and
I
all
miss.
all of them coming off Mad Mondays as well. And I know that a lot
Yeah.
of the England boys have, but they've been able to recover without having to get on a plane, if you know what I mean. So that's what England's got going for them, I think, in the first test. And I think the Aussies will probably be vulnerable in the first test, to be honest.
Right. Let me. I'm just.
The other thing is losing Lomax and Coates also hurts the Australian
Yeah.
side because that could have been a big weapon is the height out wide.
Yeah, and kick
And now
into
it's
like
like
Tom
you've got
Johnson versus
yeah,
Coates.
like you've got Marky Mark there still who can jump and or can do everything.
He'll be playing
Um,
left wing though, won't he?
right wing, and then the Fox will be on the left.
Yeah, 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 of
So I think
course.
so. Do you want to run through our lineups for the first test? I'm going to get this squad in front of me.
What we're gonna guess? Or is
Yeah,
the lineups out?
no,
I
we'll
don't want to
guess.
guess because I don't know what Sean Wayne's gonna do.
We'll
I'm having a
guess.
mini breakdown.
What about what you would do? What you would do?
All right, what I would do. Okay, I prefer that option. I don't want to get in Sean Wayne's fat head.
So I reckon. So yes, it'll
But it's
be
Wellesby v Walsh. I'm assuming we're going with,
Wellesby v Walsh. Yep. Wingers Nwangani Tuase and Josh Adokar.
and ours will be Young, and I would pick Johnson, John Stone. Sorry, he likes to be called now. Genuinely, he's like you've been pronouncing my name wrong. It's John Stone. So John
Um,
Stone.
Centers Stags and Shibasaki, the Broncos pair.
It's gonna
Mm,
be Wardle and Farnworth, which I'm okay with.
Up front, I think it'll be. Oh, look, I don't know. I
But
think
don't forget your halfback,
Lindsay. Yeah, sorry, Munster and Cleary.
your most important
Yeah,
position.
Munster and Cleary.
I go Lewis and Williams.
I think they'll in the front row because they've got a lot of locks that can also play front row. So I'd probably go Tino and Carrigan starting up
Okay.
front.
Well, are you writing mine down as well? Because I'm not typing mine.
Oh, okay, I will. Sorry, let's start again.
I just seen you typing them. I was like, I need
Wellesby,
to keep a record of this. I can't be bothered.
Wellesby, John Stone,
John Stone,
um,
Young,
Farnworth, Wardle. Did you say?
Farnworth, Wardle, Young,
Yeah. All right. We're caught up. And
with
then you're
Lewis
saying
and
Lewis and
Williams.
Williams,
He's the
front
captain, and
rowers.
he's got to be picked.
Yeah.
I know he's had a stinking season, but when he is on form and in a good group, I think he'll turn it on good.
Yeah.
Forwards, Who did you say? Tino
Tino
and.
and Carrigan.
Okay, I'm going with Walmsley and Trout
It's a
with
decent
Clark at
starting point.
9.
Yeah, Grant at 9.
Yeah, obviously. Oh, this is the worst part. Oh, the second rows.
Back row will be.
It's like,
The more I think about it, the more I think it'll be Crichton Young.
oh,
Come on, you can do it,
I don't want to say his name. I don't want to
John.
say his name.
I'll just write down. I'm just going to write down Pizzazz.
Pizzazz, Mr. Pizzazz himself, John Bateman. And my only other option, because I want Kai Pierce Paul coming off the bench, so my
So,
only other option is
so Callum
Callum
Watkins.
Watkins. But I don't, no, I'm putting Kai Pierce Paul there. He's not going in the squad. I'm putting Kai Pierce Paul
I've got Yo
there.
at lock.
I've got Knowles.
That's fairly even.
Have you seen
Bench.
what Victor Radley's done to me, man? I
Yes,
could have had
yeah,
Radley playing second row.
you could have. Bench. Dearden is the utility.
Utility. Well, Jez Litton for me.
Jez Litton for you.
Because it's like you can't really go with anyone else because you could
Mm,
have Knowles spell at hooker for like 20 minutes, 15 minutes while he's having a breather. Started off at hooker, Morgan Knowles.
true. So Dearden v Litton, and then the forwards on my bench. Oh, all of a sudden, my keyboard's just decided to cark itself. Kalamatangi, I'm going Ruben Cotter to bring a bit of leg speed off the bench, and Lindsay Smith
Oh, I'm
coming
going
off the bench.
Havard and Lees.
Havard, Lees. One
And
more.
it's going to have to be another prop just for the fucking size. Oh, Smithies, of course, 13.
There you go.
So
We'll
then you could,
reassess these next week.
mate. I don't reckon I'm far off. I hope for the love of God he doesn't pick Callum Watkins
Callum
in the
Watkins will be there.
starting lineup. If Callum Watkins is starting for England in 2025, I swear down. As long as history doesn't repeat itself and he gets ankle tapped
We're just gonna have to see in a couple of weeks or next week, next weekend.
next weekend, mate. I'm in Brisbane for it. In the Caxton.
I'm on
In
the Gold
Caxton at
Coast.
12:30.
I'm on the Gold Coast.
I know. Let's see. The one
Uh,
weekend.
yeah, I'm sorry.
The one weekend we could have done something. To be fair, I could go Saturday day to the Goldie, have a day sesh, but you're at the bloody, what are you,
Supercars,
monster trucks,
Gold
supercars?
Coast Supercars.
I knew it was something bogan. And
Yes,
they
very
haven't they
much
haven't
so.
actually announced how many tickets are sold for England. They just announced that there's over 110,000 sold in total, which does not sound very good for Wembley Test
No, no, it doesn't, does it?
because there was 40,000 sold. Yeah, 40,000 sold, they said, and that was in the end of September. So I am getting worried that they're not getting 60,000 at least there,
Yeah, that is troubling.
which is very worrying, especially when considering they announced like after the first week there was like 30,000 sold for the Wembley test. So that is worrying. Australians in London, in Clapham, get buying tickets.
Please,
England from all over get buying tickets.
because I don't want to watch a game with empty stands.
Oh, you're going to be. You're going to be. The second test and the third test you won't be, but that first one you will. My fan is making a mad noise. But what a way to end this! Well, it's my biggest fan. I'm not the biggest fan of
He's
Sean Wayne's
screaming.
selection. You can
Oh,
tell.
you've made that very clear.
It's great. Yeah,
He's in your
he's
head
heard.
rent
He's
free.
heard. My fans heard the Wayne selection and it started going. Nope,
It's
nope,
gonna fall off the
leave it
ceiling.
alone. Oh,
It's gonna
literally,
fall
man.
off the ceiling while you sleep.
When you hear a big bang at the end of this, you know what's happened.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that's a good way to end it. Actually, let's go with prediction as well while we're here of the first game. What we saying?
2-1
Are you going
series.
2-1 series?
England win the first one.
We win the first one. Catch you when your guard's off.
Yeah,
To be fair, Michael
I think.
Chamas made a good point on Triple M where he says, like, because they were going through it and the squad and this, that, and the other, they were like, well, Williams doesn't get in ahead of Cleary and that. And Chamas goes, Well, none of them do. None of them getting ahead of them, but not many of the Wigan and St Helens sides gets in the Penrith team, but they beat them.
Yeah,
Like, don't
exactly.
write off England. Chamas was like really good with it, and he was like, "Don't write off England yet."
Yeah, absolutely.
And you think they're at home? They're
In
not
front of
like
in front of a half full Wembley.
in, in front of more Australians than English at Wembley. But yeah, I'm with Chamas. I'm. Oh, I thought before the series, honestly, before that squad in the second rows, I was thinking of Ensemba, Nicholson. I genuinely thought we'd win 2-1. Now I think it's going to be either lose 2-1 or 3-0, and we just get whitewashed
Mm,
because that second row is mental. And it's just so
yeah,
infuriating. But there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. Nothing any English fan can do about it. We've just got to hope that there's method in Sean Wayne's madness, and
just
he
got to
does
suck it up.
actually know what he's doing. And if we do beat the Australians over the series, I will publicly apologise, Mr. Wayne. I will put it out all on TikTok. Not even a snippet of a podcast. I will put it out as a recorded video if we beat the Australians. Also, I bet a fella friggin' $100 in the pub as well that would beat them. So,
So you got to hold you. We'll hold you to it.
hey, when it was Magic Round, I must have bet about 1 million people at the Caxton. I was like, I'm never going to see you guys again anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I'll
They'll
bet you
track
a
you down.
thousand dollars.
They'll
I'll bet
track
you
you down.
yeah, never gamble with an Australian.
No, we're
Literally,
too cheap.
the Brisbane Broncos won the grand final, and that night Reece Walsh put out videos of them on the pokies. Like
Yeah,
that's
genuinely.
Australia in a nutshell. You just said the
Yep.
greatest victory of your life. How do you celebrate it?
Pokies.
Dive bar and pokies.
Yep. Exactly.
So that's been a great episode. We've covered a couple of topics. We've covered England for the last half an hour. Let's hope that it'll be a good series to watch regardless, whether you're an Australian like you, Sam, or an England Pommy like myself. I've got one thing to say before we end, and that is, come on, England!
Come on, Kellogg's.
Don't say that. That can't be the outro. Unless you invented Kellogg's, don't come on, Kellogg's.
Until next time.
See ya!